Our next finger-controlled weave is going to be Danish medallions. And Danish medallions are actually a lot of fun. So I have woven a few pics of my background weft just to put something between my piled loops I did and my medallions. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my next pick with my pattern weft. And again, I'm using the worsted weight cotton. So kind of going with a theme here. And you're going to do one pick of your pattern weight fat fiber. And then you're going to come through and do a series of plain weave picks. How many you do is up to you. If you've got a pattern and it specifies, obviously there's a plan. But if you're just messing with the technique and you want to just try it, you want a reasonable amount of pattern, plain weave in between. But you probably don't want so much that it's going to seem overwhelming to just, actually do our medallions when we get to them. So I'm going to go for 6. I'm just going to do 6 plain weave picks here. So the Danish medallion is worked on an open shed with your pattern yarn. I'm going to count how many warp ends I'm going to go under. So in my case, I'm going to go under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go under 6. And I'm going to pull my shuttle out of my shed after I've gone under those 6 warp ends. And then this is where the crochet hook comes in, because you're going to put the crochet hook in from the bottom, and you're going to grab a loop of that working yarn. And you can see I'm pulling the yarn off of my shuttle, so to speak, here, right? Now that I've got a loop out that's fairly large, I'm going to come through this loop, and you'll want to be consistent. Either come through, I always go from the front to the back, or whatever direction. If I'm weaving right to left, I would go over the right side. If I'm weaving left to right, I go over the left side to make basically an elongated crochet hook stitch here, right? And it's up to you. You can pull these tight. You don't have to. It creates an interesting lacy effect if you do. I'll go ahead and pull these tight, but you don't have to. They can lay relatively flat. And then we're going to continue. We're going to go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I chose 6 because I think I can stagger that 6 pretty easily. Having said that, I did not plan a warp that's going to necessarily go all the way across and make it even. So we'll just sort of see how this goes. So now I'm going to come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come down here, put my hook in, and I have chosen to just go under the warp thread. I did not come over one more, even though it looks like an option. But just go into the 6 and come up under the 6, and that'll keep things nice and tidy. Or go under whatever the number is you've chosen, or whatever number the pattern has recommended. And then pull up. And then again, you can cinch that up. And you're going to just keep working this all the way across. Going under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm using a crochet hook. The crochet hook I have is suitable for the weft I'm using. So, you don't want to use a tiny little crochet hook maybe, but something that's, generally sized. So I'm going to come down alongside this last warp end that I went under, and I'm going to snag that thread. And again, just get your hands in there and make it work. Pull this loop up, and then bring your shuttle through that loop that you've created. And then again, you can tighten, you can not tighten. I'll tighten the next one, and then I'll try to work it's going to kind of distort the picks maybe a little bit, but I'll do it anyway. We'll try not tightening some of the last ones, just so you can see how those will look. So I've gone under 6. I've left my shuttle just sitting here. Found my spot below, and I'm coming up under. Notice I'm coming up underneath the previous pattern pick. You don't want to come up in front of it. You want to come up behind it, because you want it to be part of the anchoring process for your working element here. I've unintentionally unplied my yarns here. There we go. And all right, I'm going to tighten this one up pretty well. And then I'll try to work the rest of them without the tightening, just seeing if I can make them lay flat. It may distort the sample when I get done, but that's okay because this isn't a project, it's just a sample. Part of working a sample, and one of the reasons why you might want to work a sample, aside from learning how to do something and trying new techniques, is the fact that you'll be able to, you can try your technique out and you can tweak the methodology. So this time, instead of pulling this tight, I'm just going to pull it snug flat. So see, I'm not distorting my fabric. I'm not trying to make these all really short. I'm just making the loop. Let's go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do this again over here. So again, going under my pattern thread, pushing some of this pattern thread down so I can grab it with my crochet hook. So I can, sorry about that, so I can give myself and I am making sure that this loop is not twisted. I don't want to have it be like this and then put it through because it'll add a twist to my stitch. Okay, I don't have enough pattern. I don't have enough background yarns. I think I'll have to go under 8 to finish my pick. Looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So I'm not going to try to do another one right at the edge. I'm just going to exit the shed. There's no, like I said, there was no plan here for this. So then we just leave this hang off on the edge. And then you take your heddle and you beat. Then you're going to go ahead and work a couple rows of plain weave in between your next pattern picks. Typically, although it's not always necessary, and it may change depending on your pattern, you're going to probably work as many pattern picks between the rows as you worked between the combs or of the cells of your Danish medallions. And the reason for that is, now a lot of times the first pattern pick is always sort of like your base. After that, the second pattern pick can become your base if you want it to. And that's how we're going to use it. Now you could, of course, just cut this off, weave it in on the back, weave 2 or 3 inches, and then start another row of Danish medallions if you wanted to, and just have them be a row like this all the way across. We're going to actually continue our medallions going on up from where we are. So we're just going to build them like bricks. And then now we're ready to use our pattern yarn again. This time I'm going to go under 6 again. Let's see. I need to be in an up shed. An up or down shed does not matter. Simply, you just need to be under, you need to be in an open shed. So this time I'm going to work a little closer to the edge than I did before because I want to stagger my cells. So I'm aiming for the center here, and I'm going to take my crochet hook. I'm going to find that same spot, and I am going to bring up a loop. Okay, so we've pulled up our loop, and again, so now this time we're working right to left. So I'm still going to go through the front of my loop, and of course we're going over the right side of the yarn. It really does not matter if you go, I mean, it's easiest to go through the front. I'm going to go under 7. I didn't know quite where the middle was on this end, so we're going to try to even this up a little bit here. So, all right, I've got my pattern pick in. So see, I'm aiming for the center of these bricks. I want to stagger them. We can also work them stacked on top of each other as well. But I think it's an interesting effect to stagger them, and it's no harder to do once you get your pattern established than to stack them on top of each other. So again, there are so many variations, I can't possibly cover them all. One of the nice things about sampling is that if you see something you're like, oh, it'd be kind of fun if I tried this, sampling gives you that opportunity. It's a playground. I think a lot of times we think of sampling as like work that isn't going to achieve anything, but sampling allows us, especially at the loom, to really play with structures, to play with yarns, to see what would happen if I did it like this. How can I, I want this effect. What do I need to do either with the materials I have or the materials I can acquire to get that effect? And those are the kinds of questions that a sample lets you play with without having a whole lot on the line. And obviously, if I were going to do this in a yarn that was new to me or a yarn I didn't know, I might be, a little more careful. I might make better notes than I'm just throwing things at the loom. Throwing things at the loom is perfectly acceptable. But if you're going to be trying to sample for a specific project, you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to make a note about how long your warp was. You're going to want to make a note about how wide the project was in the loom. When I used the ribbon down here, I ended up with like a loop on the edges that's going to show. That's not going to go away. So knowing that, so if you're designing something for yourself or for a specific purpose, you know what to expect. Okay, if I do this, I am going to have these, uneven edges at this point. And if I'm okay with that, great. If I'm not okay with that, can I mitigate it? Do I need to use a different fiber? What do I need to do? All right, so now we're at the point where we can tighten these up. And see, as you tighten these, because we're working from that base, we get a different effect. So before I was working them as flat as I could over here, just making a nice cell. And over here, I'm going to give them a good tug. And we're going to be distorting these rows below a little bit and cinching things up. And then that will become more pronounced when it is wet finished. Okay, so once I got things evened up over here, I'm going under 6 again. And after the 6th one, I'm coming out pretty much in the center of my previous cells. That was what I was trying to achieve. It just didn't work on the edge because I wasn't quite sure exactly where my center was. So I'm going to work one more row of these staggered, and then we're going to try a little bit of something different with the Danish Medallions. All right, so I've gone ahead and done a few more rows of the Danish Medallions with that yarn. Now you'll notice that over on this side where I pulled these more tightly, we have less of the circular effect and more of like a honeycomb pattern. So something to keep in mind that, the tighter you pull these, you will distort these lines as you come through. And they'll only be distorted, of course, the most in the center where you're pulling both the tops and the bottom pattern rows together and then repeating that. And it's also important to know that remember that these were staggered. If I had stacked these, that distortion would have been different yet again, and it would have been more on top of each other. So a lot of different ways to play with this technique.